History is not merely a record of events, it is really a tapestry woven from moments of collision, where entire worlds are unmade and remade in, a flash. In the early 13th century, two such worlds hurtled toward one another on the vast plains of Central Asia. In the east, a new power had risen from the harsh Mongolian steppes, a force unlike any the world had seen. Genghis Khan, the Great Khan, had forged disparate warring tribes into a single, disciplined nation. He had given them a law, a purpose, and a military machine that seemed, honestly, invincible. His gaze, once fixed on uniting his own people, was now turning outward, toward the settled civilizations beyond his grassy homeland. To the west lay the Khwarezmian Empire, a vast and wealthy kingdom that encompassed modern-day Persia, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and Afghanistan. It was the heart of the Islamic Golden Age, a center of science, art, and commerce, its cities jewels of architecture and learning. The empire was ruled by Shah Muhammad II, a man who saw himself as the preeminent leader of the Muslim world, commanding a massive army drawn from Turkic tribes. He was, in his own mind, an immovable object, Genghis Khan, a storm from the steppe. One leader forged by hunger, betrayal, and discipline, another dulled by privilege and divided by courtly rivalries. The Khwarezmian Empire, on the eve of the Mongol invasion, was a picture of dazzling prosperity, yet built on fragile foundations. A patchwork held together by military force, urban Persian elites often viewing Turkic rulers as outsiders. The Shah himself, a Turk ruling a Persian culture, sharing power with his formidable mother, Turkan Khatun. Loyalties split, orders conflicted, two centers of power in Gurganj pulling in opposite directions. Silk Road wealth bred arrogance. They believed massive armies made them invulnerable to nomads from the east. Shah Muhammad saw Genghis as a minor chieftain, underestimating Mongol discipline, strategy, and iron resolve. His army was enormous on paper, but held together by coin and fear more than loyalty. Then the fatal choice: to garrison dozens of cities, defending everywhere, and so defending nowhere. An empire glittering on the surface, fissured beneath. The horizon darkened with riders no one yet understood. The catalyst was not territory or ideology, it was a trade caravan. 450 mostly Muslim merchants with Mongol envoys, bearing gold, silver, jade, and fine Chinese silks. At Otrar, Governor Inalchuk, kin to the Shah's mother, seized the caravan, accused them of spying, and awaited assent. Without investigation, Shah Muhammad consented. Inalchuk executed the entire delegation. One camel driver escaped to the Mongol court. Genghis Khan, enraged yet restrained, sent a second delegation demanding Inalchuk and restitution. The Shah executed the chief Mongol envoy, shaved the other two, a deep humiliation, and sent them back. For Genghis Khan, this was beyond insult. The sacred laws of diplomacy were broken. War was now a necessity. An army began to move, silent, disciplined, and faster than news. The steppe storm was coming, summoned not by greed alone, but by a broken covenant that left no path but vengeance. The invasion was a masterclass in deception, speed, and coordination, built on meticulous intelligence. Spies, merchants, prisoners, maps of defenses, water sources, and political divisions, including the rift at court. Armed with this, Genghis planned to dismantle the empire piece by piece with breathtaking precision. Their primary weapon, the composite bow, deadly from horseback. Each warrior traveled with spare mounts, subsisting on dried meat and fermented mare's milk, outrunning supply chains and rumor alike. They moved like a storm front, appearing where least expected. Jebi rode wide to the east. Chagatai besieged Otrar. The Khan led the main body into the desert. In winter 1219 they crossed the waterless Kizil Kum, guided by captured nomads, emerging behind the Shah's lines. The Shah expected attack from the north. Instead, the enemy stood before Bukhara and Samarkand. His dispersed garrisons were now isolated. The first major target was the holy city of Bukhara, a center of learning, caught completely off guard. Civilians surrendered, the garrison defied from the citadel, sealing the city's fate. Genghis rode into the main mosque, declaring himself the flail of God, sent to punish their sins and their rulers. Bukhara was looted, fired, its garrison exterminated. Artisans selected, youths conscripted, the rest slaughtered. Samarkand, the empire's glittering capital, held a vast force, even elephants. But news of Bukhara shattered its will. Mongols employed Chinese siegecraft, catapults and fire, assaulting with terrifying speed. Defenses crumbled within days. The citadel garrison was annihilated, the city plundered, a great heart torn out in weeks. With the core shattered, Tolui marched on Khorasan, a region of libraries, observatories, and gardens. Merv resisted, then surrendered, hoping for leniency. Instead, over days, its people were marched out and slaughtered. Chroniclers speak of hundreds of thousands, even a million. The city was razed, qanats and dams destroyed, turning gardens to desert for generations. Nishapur had killed the Khan's son-in-law from its walls. When it fell, vengeance was absolute. Populations were massacred, corpses decapitated, skulls heaped by men, women, and children, buildings torn down, fields plowed over. These were acts of calculated terror, a message to the world. Resistance meant annihilation. The will to fight withered across the region. As cities burned and his people died, Shah Muhammad broke, choosing flight over a final stand. Genghis sent his dogs of war, Jebi and Subutai, to hunt him down, no matter where he ran. For months they chased him across Persia. The Mongols always just days behind, their speed seemed supernatural. On a small island in the Caspian, destitute and ill, the once mighty Shah died with nothing but the clothes on his back. His son, Jalal al-Din Mingburnu, rallied remnants, even winning at Parwan, one of the few Mongol defeats. Genghis turned upon him. Trapped at the Indus, Jalal al-Din fought a desperate rearguard, then spurred his horse off a cliff, plunging into the river and swimming under arrow rain to escape. He lived to fight again in India, and his defiance became legend. But his army was destroyed. The war's outcome would not change. The consequences were immediate and catastrophic. Depopulated regions, great cities reduced to rubble, irrigation systems destroyed. Ecological warfare turned farmland to desert. Famine followed. The demographic collapse endured for centuries. Culturally, it was an apocalypse. Libraries burned. Scholars, artists, and scientists killed or scattered to India, Egypt, and Anatolia. Yet, in time, the Ilkhanate became patrons of Persian art and science, renewal blooming amid ash. Genghis inadvertently forged the largest free trade zone. Under the Pax Mongolica, roots were unified and secured. Ideas and technologies flowed. Gunpowder, compass, and printing west. Persian science and medicine east, reshaping Eurasia. How do Tolui's pyramids of skulls coexist with flourishing trade? The answer is both. Barbaric destruction and global connection. The Shah's choice to kill envoys set a chain of events that destroyed one world and violently birthed another. We are left with a troubling paradox, an unmitigated holocaust for the millions of Merv and Samarkand, and yet a connective tissue that reshaped continents. A new kind of warfare, total submission or annihilation, using terror, strategy, and discipline to redraw the map. The Khwarezmian collapse opened a vacuum the Mongols filled, establishing the Ilkhanate, and, paradoxically, sponsoring Persian culture anew. They tore down walls between civilizations, unleashing forces that helped spark the European Renaissance and influenced empires for centuries. In Persia, Genghis is both ruthless destroyer, the flail of God, and unintentional unifier, paving routes for Marco Polo and the first broad era of global exchange. His story resists simple morals. It forces hard questions. Can progress emerge from devastation? Does connection ever justify its cost? History's answer is complexity. Blood and silk, woven into the same tapestry.